Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation, and today I just want to have a little bit of fun. Today we're going to talk about Games Workshop models and some of the ones that I have in my collection that have some of the most unique design choices that Games Workshop has made. For those of us who have been in the game since 2nd edition, Games Workshop has come a long way with their model line and honestly probably produces the best, nicest looking models on the market. The detail that goes into these things is extravagant. And although the prices are up there, you really are getting a lot for what you pay because of how much detail and customization there are in some of these miniatures. Games Workshop puts a lot of little intricate details that sometimes get missed. And in some of the armies I play, these are my 3 top choices that have some of the most intricate details that might have been missed. Now, we're going to be back to all our battle reports and everything next week. This week was kind of a weird week. Lane's on vacation. I'm not paying him for it. And yeah, my whole entire household was sick, as you could probably hear a little bit in my voice. But I wanted to record a video, kind of talk about that a little bit on why we didn't have a battle report this week, as well as just have a little bit of fun. Someone who's been playing these games for a long time, when you build a lot of these models, you start to really notice and appreciate some of the fine details that go into these things and some of the hidden details. And that's what I want to draw attention to today is just some of those choices in my top 3 picks. Now, where some of this comes about is going to be an honorable mention that I have to bring up for a commission project I've been working on for someone, which was building a Sisters of Battle army, and that is this beauty here, the Exorcist tank. Nobody can say that the Exorcist tank is not one of the coolest tanks in Warhammer 40K. It is a tank that literally has missiles coming out of an organ that you play a piano. You play an organ to fire missiles at your enemy. This is literally the definition of a symphony of destruction as you're playing these notes and firing missiles across the field. However, and this is one of the reasons that I bring it up as an honorable mention, as a buddy of mine, Zach, and I were having a conversation recently about it, how exactly does that work? Now, I would be okay in the understanding of if it was just like a couple of keys or maybe a foot pedal that fired the missiles and you were really just playing the piano and you shot the missile straight ahead. But the Exorcist tank fires indirectly. So you need more guidance in there, which makes me feel like every keystroke, everything you would play on the piano would matter for guiding this thing's range and targeting and all the stuff that goes into firing this thing as an artillery tank. Which means that if that's the case and you're hitting those notes, that music probably wouldn't sound so good. Maybe something that like a 2-year-old who's never played a piano and is just banging on some keys and you hear this strange sound and go, what is that? What is that horrid sound? Oh, wait, there's a missile coming. Oh, crap, oh, crap, oh, crap. So, yeah, the logistics on how it actually functions and works kind of befuddles me. Best assumption we came up with is that you play the music and maybe there's a couple of keystrokes that have something to do with it and then a foot pedal, but you just have to transition over the music in this sense. Because otherwise, man, you're going to be not really making the Emperor very proud with the music you're playing going into battle. And honestly, if anything, you're not going to intimidate your opponents and intimidate your enemies. They're going to be more confused and thinking that maybe you should go back and have new piano lessons. So, awesome tank, though. Awesome concept. Like I said, the definition of a symphony of destruction, if we can at least figure out how exactly playing a piano to fire missiles and still make it sound good, all kind of working together. So that's why that one's kind of an honorable mention. 1, it's not in my collection because it's a commission project. And 2, not really sure how that functions, but man, the concept is so cool. You play a piano to fire missiles. Epic, epic. So the first one I want to talk about is coming out of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and that is with the Castellan robots. So the Castellan robots are one of my, I love Castellan robots. That's why I have a bunch of them, and I've run them in whenever I run AdMech, that's the first thing I go is, okay, how am I running my robots with this today? The Castellan robot is a very interesting model. It has a couple of unique things. Number one, there's this cord on the back of it. And to some, that one kind of makes a little bit of sense. It's to plug it in. It's a place where a datasmith could plug in to change its protocols, to control it, to command it, all those things. But it's cool that that is included on the model and it's not just assumed. But what's even more interesting about it is actually in the chest plate. For this model, you could put a chest covering onto it, fully covering its chest plate, or leaving it open where you would put the little data disks in. Now, there is actually a piece that is different data disks that you can put in there. So you could put one in, you can leave it out. It's your choice on how you do the model. It's very tiny, so be very careful if you decide to put it in there. It's a pain in the butt to get those in there. I usually use tweezers and just plop it in, but it is cool and a neat feature to be able to do that to make them kind of unique and stand out. But what really makes it unique comes into the actual datasmith, because on the datasmith's chest cavity, as you can see here, the datasmith also has these little data disks on it as well. So it's a detail that's kept with the model. There's no real plug on this though. I was looking all over and I didn't see anywhere there's a real plug. There's a couple of different cords and stuff hanging out of it that you could assume might plug into that plug in the back. But what I really like is the fact that on the datasmith's chest, there is those cartridges held onto it. So that and there's exactly 3 of them, which with the Castellan robots, there's 3 protocols you can go into: a shooting one, a defensive one, and a combat-based one. They change different editions on what the names are, but those are the protocols you can put this into, and he has 3 of them. So he is able to go up and place a chip into the chest cavity of the robots to change it over or change whatever its job is needed to do. And I like that that's a little detail that's kept with the datasmith, that it's exactly 3 for the Castellan robot. And those pieces are not only the same design as what you would put in the robot miniature, but it's the same size as well too. So it's a very strong detail that I really like that they did with the Castellan robots. Moving on and talking about something else that plugs in, we're going to go with these Skorpek destroyers. Now, this one was an interesting one. This one's kind of fast because when the Skorpeks first came out, we got this with the, what was the box? Indominus, that was it. We got the Indominus box set and a whole bunch of new Necron models, and one of them was Skorpeks. And when these guys came out, a bunch of people on the internet were very confused and wondering if when the kit came out, there was going to be a possible different weapon option because of this little port on the back of the model. This little port looked like something would attach into it based on the triangular shape of it, the detail of it. It looked like it was a glue point for maybe another weapon option or something, until a couple people noticed later on that that wasn't the case. That was actually the plug-in point for the little plasma sight. Little plasma sight right on the tip of its little claw, its little mandible on the front, has the same triangular ports. This is a very fine detail that Games Workshop could have just left out and no one would have noticed, or even not necessarily even complained about in a sense. But the plasma sights are able to charge the Skorpeks. Right now, currently, it's once per game to allow them to have devastating wounds, but it charges them, it buffs them. And how does it charge them? How does it do that? Well, it plugs directly into the back of the Skorpek to be able to charge them and buff them to give that ability. And it has that little port in the back where these guys can clip into, and they literally clip into them. If you wish to, you could put them right up to it where the plasma sight is able to clip into it to allow the Skorpek to get their buff. Again, it's a really, really tiny, tiny detail that could have been left off that I really appreciate that they went that extra mile for, to show it's like, okay, so this plasma sight buffs these guys. How does it do it? It clips in and cranks them over and overcharges the Skorpeks to fight better. Cool little tiny detail that some people might have missed initially when looking at it and looked at it and gone, oh, this is maybe a piece for a weapons upgrade. As we got the kit later on, there was no weapon upgrade, but it is one of those pieces that you look at and you go, you may overlook it and not even realize that that is the actual port that the plasma sight clocks into. Now, number one is one of my favorites, and it still to this day blows my mind, and that is Karn the Betrayer. Now, you may say, why Karn? What detail does Karn have? He's got his plasma pistol, he's got his chain axe, Gorechild, he's got his running pose. So, what exactly about Karn has extra detail paid attention to? Well, Karn has the best shoe deal in the 41st millennium. Karn, as far as I know, is the only character, only model in the game to have custom kicks. He's got the corn kicks on the bottom of his soles of his boots. He has the symbol of corn. Now, anyone who's worked in a restaurant before and knows about slip-resistant shoes knows what those treads look like, knows how the treading on the bottom of the shoes, very tiny, very small, not very open. Like there's a lot of treading on those shoes, I guess to say. I'm probably describing it wrong, but slip resistant shoes have a lot of treading to them that's very thin. It's easy to grip so you don't slide all over the floor, especially when there's a lot of grease involved. When you look at tread for cars, you know, depending on if you have snow tires, if you have mud tires, there is tread that is designed a specific way. I have to say, I don't think Karn's shoes are the most practical for the 41st millennium. I mean, one step on a blood-splattered piece of metal, and I think he's going to embarrass himself falling. Maybe that's one of the reasons that he kills his own dudes when he's out of combat, because he trips and falls. One of them laughs, and then he chops off someone's head so that no one laughs ever again. Kind of makes sense. I think there's the lore. There's the lore on why Karn's really the betrayer, because of these shoes. So Karn is the betrayer because of his shoes. There's the lore. Either way, it's very, very interesting detail that you had somebody at Games Workshop, when designing Karn, said, you know what? We're going to put the symbol of corn on the bottom of his shoe. And for the most part, you know, you don't really fully see it. Like there's one foot that's up more and you can see it a bit on there, but it's not something that's draws the most attention, but it's a little bit of detail. And I gotta appreciate the fact that Karn has the best kicks in 41st millennium. I mean, I can't think of any other army, any other miniature, any other character in the game that's got better shoes than that. I mean, come on. He has the symbol of corn literally as the tread of his shoes. What does that tell you? I mean, he's diehard. He's corn through and through. So let me know in the comment section what you've noticed with some miniatures and models that have like little intricate details. I'm sure there's a bunch of other ones out there that I've missed in some armies that I may not even play. And there might be some in armies that I do play that I just miss those tiny details of it. And I think that it's just something that's really cool to draw attention to and appreciate how much detail and how a lot of the sculptors are gamers at heart and do these extra little details into miniatures that we might miss. All right, guys, as always, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.